Hello, everyone. I am Sword Caliburn 687, and today I would talk about Sonic Forces. If you guys really want to support this video, smash that like button and subscribe. And let's begin the video. Sonic Forces has a lot of mixed receptions for so many Sonic fans, and I can't blame anyone that don't like Forces. For my opinion on Forces, I do not like the game, nor do I hate it. One of the things I was mainly disappointed in Forces was its story. Many Sonic fans are angry or even disappointed within Forces' story, all because it regrets some Sonic characters, and the story mode feels rushed. Forces' story had a lot of potential being good if it was executed that well, and you can see a lot of changes and revisions within the game's story. Like, for example, Infinite was going to be the Phantom Ruby itself, and because Sonic Team did a lot of changes and revisions to Infinite, the idea of him being the Phantom Ruby got completely scrapped. In the scrapped idea of Forces' story, Eggman was the one that created the Phantom Ruby, and the Phantom Ruby had a different name. It was called the Beltron. Sonic Forces takes a lot of ideas and elements from other franchises, and the first one that I would talk about, it would be Star Wars. The movie Star Wars has inspired the plot of Forces, and it makes a lot of sense. Let me try to compare Star Wars to the plot of Forces, and both are strikingly similar. Both franchises has an evil empire taking over the world or the galaxy, and to counteract against the evil empire, a small band of a rebel alliance or a resistance is formed just to stop the empire. The Rebel Alliance is losing against the war with the Empire, and there's no one else to save the galaxy or the world. Who would this main character would be to save the world? It would be Luke Skywalker or your custom character. I am not gonna sugarcoat this. All your characters' roles in Forces are based on Star Wars characters. Sonic is Princess Leia / Obi-Wan. Your custom character is Luke Skywalker. Knuckles is General Akbar. Infinite is Darth Vader. And last, Eggman is Palpatine. The whole idea of Infinite as a character mirrors Anakin Skywalker. Infinite wants to abandon his old self, all because he lost his shadow, and because of that, Infinite sees his old self as weaker and inferior. Both Infinite and Darth Vader want to abandon the old version of themselves so they can build up their new personas, and both are manipulated by their allies that they're closest to. Eggman being Palpatine makes a lot of sense, all because this whole entire time, Eggman was manipulating Infinite. Infinite being nothing more than Eggman's pawn, that's what's set up in the Sonic Forces comic, but not in the game. This is why the Jackal Squad is said to Infinite to not to trust Eggman, all because they see Eggman as not trustworthy, but Infinite didn't care. Infinite only cared about working together with Eggman just to get more power, and because of that, Eggman used Infinite. I wish when Eggman was manipulating Infinite was set up a lot better in the Sonic Forces game, but it wasn't really executed that well, and Sega could have done better. What is next? Your avatar being Infinite's son/daughter, and Sonic Forces' plot being Star Wars? It is kinda funny. When I found out that Sonic Forces' plot took a lot of inspiration from Star Wars, I was completely shocked. The YouTuber that found out that Sonic Forces' plot is mostly like Star Wars, it is Pariah695. I would give Pariah695 credits for saying that Forces' plot is mostly like Star Wars, and seeing him roasting Forces, it is kinda hilarious. The second franchise that Sonic Forces is taking inspiration from, it is Super Sentai. Super Sentai are a group of heroes that wear different color outfits and saves the world from evil. With the Americanized version of Super Sentai, we all know it very well, which is Power Rangers. What if I told you that Sonic Forces' plot is Sonic Rangers? I would ask you guys this. Do you know why the game is called Sonic Forces? And I would tell you. Sentai in Japanese means task force, squadron, or group. When I was looking into Infinite's concept art, he does take some inspiration from Super Sentai and Kamen Rider. I know that Kamen Rider isn't a part of Super Sentai, but it is part of the Sentai genre. I am not gonna go through all of Infinite's concept art, and I would go through the ones that interest me. The first Infinite concept art that I would talk about, it would be his bowl design. Infinite's bowl design takes some elements from Kamen Rider and Super Sentai. Infinite's bowl design looks like a cross between a Bull Sentai Ranger and a monster from a Kamen Rider series. Infinite's ghost design is based on a ghost monster that a Battle Fever J Rangers fought against, which I find very interesting. Battle Fever J came out in 1979, and it is way before Forces. So Sega taking some inspiration from the ghost monster from Battle Fever J, you can see some of the similarities. With Infinite's Jackal helmet, it is inspired off of two things. One is based on the Jungle Fury Batch Ranger and the Psycho Rangers. In a Super Sentai, there are dark counterparts of the Rangers or a rival Ranger that challenges the Power Rangers, and I think that Infinite might be based on a rival Ranger. A rival Ranger or a dark counterpart of the Ranger is darker or even more sadistic than a normal Ranger and is completely evil. A Dark Ranger or a Sentai has a dramatic backstory for the reason why they're evil, and they're really edgy, and it does sound like Infinite. Infinite kinda reminds me of the White Sentai from Power Rangers Dino Thunder. In the Japanese version of Dino Thunder, the White Sentai is really evil and sadistic, more than the American version of Dino Thunder. I feel like Infinite could have been a cooler character if Sonic Team knew the direction of what they want Infinite to be, but in Sonic Forces, his character development was wasted. Infinite got his time to shine in the most recent Chaotic Case file, and I hope that Infinite's character development would be improved in future Sonic games. The main theme of Forces, it is about working together to overcome the odds and building friendships and connections with the people that are around you. That does sound like Super Sentai or even Power Rangers. This is what the main theme song Fist Bump is about. Working together with you and your friend when the odds are stacked against you. And it makes sense for Sonic Forces. Some of the Sonic characters' roles in Forces feel similar to that of Power Rangers or even Super Sentai. I would start off with Sonic, all because Sonic's role in Forces feels like most Red Rangers in the Super Sentai series. In the Super Sentai series, the Red Sentai is seen as a positive role model for a lot of characters, and this is why a lot of kids in Japan likes the Red Sentai. In Sonic Forces, Sonic wants to be a positive role model for your avatar, and wants your avatar to build friendships and connections with people. Sonic's character in Forces feels like an embodiment of the Red Ranger's character, which I do really like. Knuckles' character development in Forces feels similar to that of Doggy Kruger. Both Knuckles and Doggy Kruger are commanders of their squads for fighting against evil, and both are caring and compassionate leaders. Silver's role in Forces kind of feels like a mixture between Sky from SPD and the Mega Ranger. The Mega Ranger from SPD, he is a time traveler from the future, so his job and role in SPD is to make sure the timeline isn't altered, so he can protect and save his future. The Mega Ranger helps out the SPD Rangers in the present timeline, so the timeline won't be altered. You can see some similarities between Silver and the Mega Ranger, all because both characters would do anything to save the future and the world. Sky from SPD is what I think that Silver's role is based on in Forces, all because both characters like to follow the rules of their commanders, and sometimes it's very harsh towards their teammates if they failed or don't really follow the rules. Even though Sky can be harsh sometimes towards his teammates, he does care about his teammates. What Ranger is the Avatar is similar to, I think the Avatar is the fundamental idea and an embodiment of the Power Ranger to the audience. The idea of a Power Ranger suit design is that the audience can insert themselves into the Ranger based on what color they like. I think when Sega was inspired to create the custom character, it was very intentional that they got some inspiration from Power Rangers, and here's why I think this. The final battle of Sonic Forces, it does remind me of two things. One is the final battle of Power Rangers Megaforce, when all the Rangers have to band together to save the world from evil, and the second thing of the final battle of Forces does remind me of, it does remind me of the battle of Power Rangers Ninja Steel, when all the Rangers have to fight fake copies of themselves in order to save the day. The Avatar being a representation and the idea of the Power Ranger to the audience, it makes a lot of sense, all because in Power Rangers, Saban did something similar when creating Justin. Saban wanted to make a kid character relatable to the audience, and that's what they got with Justin. Because Justin is a kid, he is mentored by the other Rangers to be a hero, and you can see the fundamental idea of an embodiment of the Power Ranger with the custom character. Sonic Forces feels like a bad version of Power Rangers or Super Sentai if most of the Rangers can't do anything other than the Red Ranger. I would talk about the most interesting thing of Forces. It would be the Wispons. Wispon is a weapon that stores Wisp energy, and the ability of the Wispon is different depending on the ability of the Wisp. Like, for example, there are some Wispons that can shoot out lightning, and others that can shoot out fire. I think that the Wispons are inspired off of the Power Rangers' weapons and gadgets, and it does kinda make sense. In some Super Sentai series, there are some weapons of the Rangers that have different abilities, which does sound like the Wispons. Having a fire and lightning weapon is very common in Super Sentai, and you can see the similarities between the Wispons and the Power Rangers weapons and gadgets. The weapons of Power Rangers and Super Sentai are designed like that to sell toys, and it makes sense why the Wispons have a toy-like design. Sonic Forces wasn't the only Sonic thing that took elements from the Sentai genre, it was also Sonic X. In Sonic X, there is a group of space mercenaries that Sonic and his friends fought against, which are called the Meta-X. The Meta-X are covered in armor, and they look like a Kamen Rider villain. Thinking about it, Sonic X Season 3 kinda does feel like Power Rangers in space, or even Lost Galaxy. Now knowing that Sonic Forces takes a lot of elements from the Sentai genre, but why the Sentai genre to begin with? With Sonic Forces' marketing in Japan, Sega wanted to appeal more to a Japanese audience than an American audience. YouTubers like Splash Dash and Mr. Fascinating has talked about how Sonic has never really been that popular in Japan, and Mario's more popular in Japan than Sonic. There's only a few Sonic games which is popular in Japan, which is the Adventure games and Sonic Frontiers. Because the Adventure games has really serious storytelling more than the Meta era, I think that Sonic Team wanted to go back for that style, with in turns for storytelling for Sonic for the Japanese audience. Sonic Team, or maybe even Sega, was probably doing research on what's the Japanese audience like to the early to mid 2010s, and because of this, Forces feels like a mismatch between Super Sentai and Star Wars. It is because people in Japan likes both of these franchises. Even though now Super Sentai did lose popularity with Japanese audience, but at the time of the early to mid 2010s, kids in Japan did love Super Sentai. I am not saying that Super Sentai's completely dead, all because Toei's working on a new project just to revitalize the franchise, and I hope it does well. I do not hate the idea that Forces' plot is taking some ideas from the Sentai genre, all because mangakas like Akira Toriyama have been inspired by the Sentai genre before when working on Dragon Ball. With some of Dragon Ball's explosions, or even some outfits like the Great Saiyaman, take some ideas from Super Sentai. The first Super Sentai series came out in 1975, while the first Dragon Ball manga was published in 1984. Akira Toriyama does like the Super Sentai series, and always likes to reference it in his work. I feel like if Sonic Forces was not a rush game, the Sentai influence within terms of the story could have worked. With looking at some of Infinite's concept art, I wish they could have made some of those concept art separate characters, or maybe be a part of Infinite Squad. Now I would talk about ideas or even things to improve Forces' story, knowing that it was inspired from Super Sentai, and here's how I would fix Forces' story. I know you guys are wondering, Sword Caliburn 687, why are you trying to improve on Forces' story? I am not trying to improve on Forces' story that much. It is a slight tweaking to the story. With doing so much research for Forces' story, it made me felt so disappointed within the main campaign, and Forces' story had so much potential being good, but it didn't utilize that potential. I am doing small changes to Forces' story just to add more shonen and Sentai elements within the main campaign, and it would make the story feel a lot better. Infinite could have created an evil Sentai team of his own after losing the Jackal Squad, and this could have a lot of story potential. I feel like the new Jackal Squad that Infinite created, it should reflect on Infinite's psyche, and the personalities of the new Jackal Squad should be a reflection on Infinite's mental state. Like, for example, this ghost concept art of Infinite could be like a reflection on when Infinite lost the Jackal Squad, and its personality could be really sad, empty, and feeling hollow. These new Jackal Squad members should be the boss fights for forces, instead of fighting illusions of previous Sonic villains. Infinite's theming of his character could have been him trying to artificially try to create friends, and later he sees these friends as very disposable and very worthless. When Infinite's team is losing to Sonic and his friends, he would try to get rid of them. Infinite trying to break connections with friends and the people that is around him. Infinite's ideology could have gone against the theming and the messaging of forces. Infinite's obsession of power rather than his friends could have been his downfall. While meanwhile, on the other hand, Sonic would use his friends and connections to beat Infinite. Some of Sonic's friends could have helped him defeat Infinite, like for example Knuckles, Silver, or even Shadow. These Sonic characters are only there to help Sonic fight the mindless illusions of Infinite's army, and nothing more in the story. Shadow and Silver lost to Infinite in the main campaign and Forces, and seeing them working together to beat Infinite, that would be a really satisfying payoff within Forces' story. My idea of Shadow, Knuckles, and Silver working together with Sonic to defeat Infinite, that would be extremely satisfying, and it would pay off within Forces' story. My idea that I suggested, it would make Forces feel more like a shonen, and that's what Sonic Team was trying to do with Forces' story, but it wasn't executed that well. I think that this is it. This would be a good point to end the video. Thank you for watching this video. Like, share, subscribe, but also leave a comment below if you guys really want to see more of my content. And anyway, see you guys soon.